Well, to move on to another topic, this is a topic that's kind of important to me. Um, when I was younger, I spent literally thousands of hours of my life debunking what I thought were the nonsense 9/11 conspiracy theories, reading the 10,000 page official engineering report on the collapse of the Twin Towers, debating 9/11 conspiracy theorists in podcasts and on online forums, and trolling them at their big annual rallies at the World Trade Center, and so on. Then when we were talking about the Tower of Babel, you had to go and say something that made me question what I thought I knew about this event. I'm not interested in going into this in depth at this point since I don't want to be killed or offend any of the family members of the 9/11 victims. But can you tell me in general, very simply, if I completely wasted these hours of my life?
Could you repeat exactly what you're... Well, we can give you a simple example. There is no idea of wasting time anyway, but we get what you're referring to, but maybe you could share more in detail what you did exactly and what you're inquiring as far as aiming more at the idea of what the correct story is, not if you wasted your time. It's a whole other topic.
Well, basically what I'm saying is, like, ever since 9/11 happened, I thought that the conspiracy theories that it was, an inside job and so on, I thought that was all bull crap. Was I wrong?
Well, what you consider an inside job depends what collective you're considering the inside, what you're considering the outside. Their idea is, yes, somebody flew an airplane in the building. And their idea is, yes, a nuclear bomb was exploded also. One doesn't exclude the other. Now you can get angry at Muslims for blowing a plane in there, yes. You can get angry at your government for blowing up a nuke, yes. Or you can just assume responsibility for everybody creating their own relative being wherever they wish to be.
What?
So depends what you consider the correct story. There are numerous storylines through your entire history. Not all of them are incorrect or correct. They exist simultaneously. For what we're perceiving your current timeline, yes, there was a conspiracy similar to your Pearl Harbor idea. People knew something was going to happen, and they just stood back because they wanted the atrocity to happen, your own government being, yes. Because they want to have a reason for conducting other political decisions later on, such as entering your so-called Second World War, or for bombing certain countries in the Middle East, to put it bluntly. Of course, that's just one aspect of it.
What could possibly be the reason for setting off a nuclear bomb?
To make the building collapse.
That doesn't make sense to me. Why don't we hear any big explosion in the videos of them collapsing?
First and foremost, things can of course be edited, yes. You're an idea of what you're aware of. Secondly, a small nuke, yes, not like your Hiroshima or Nagasaki explosions, yes. There are numerous ways to set those ideas off. From what we're perceiving, this was simply conducted in a way that would not radiate to the outside. You're familiar with mini nukes, yes?
Yes.
The way they can be set off doesn't necessarily have to make a large, loud explosion, but just enough for a particular instance. Of course, there are much further advanced technologies that could easily bring down something like this in a much more smooth manner. So we're not going to go in details why the particular people who decided on this sets off in this way, because we simply don't know the exact details, because we don't have access to it to the degree that maybe somebody who was present there would have. It's simply of no importance to us, or what we consider simply what we're aware of is that a mini nuke was used to blow up a tower, but it doesn't change the fact that an airplane also flew in there, and people that might have flown an airplane there might have a much different motivation than the people who set up a bomb.
Well, I mean, like I said, I read the 10,000 page engineering report, and you do clearly see that the columns are bowing inward due to the fires. So, I mean, it looks like it was on the verge of collapse, like in the minutes leading up to the collapse. So, like, why was it necessary to set off a small nuke?
To have first and foremost the idea of even melting anything in the building to make it collapse. The airplane itself created some damage, yes?
Right.
And then the idea of a nuke created Shortly afterwards, air damage, which then led to the idea of the steel beams melting. We're not sure if other methods were also used in addition to that. Doesn't rule those out, we're just aware of those two instances. Affecting tower's integrity. Also, another building was blown up in addition to that, yes? Where no airplane hit.
So when we were talking about the Tower of Babel, you mentioned something about like an energy weapon. How did that come into play with the Twin Towers?
Again, we're aware of those two ideas happening, like a mini nuclear bombing, as well as an airplane hitting. The idea of an energy being used in such an instance, same against the tower, could have been used in addition to this idea.
Can you say how high up this conspiracy went? I mean, did the president, was he in on it?
First and foremost, the president is not your higher up, yes? That's just somewhere in the middle of your power structure. From what we're aware of, the president was informed by your so-called CIA, yes? We're not sure if he was informed in the aftermath or before that, but we definitely was aware that was what you're calling an inside job after it has happened. But
Okay.
again, you did not waste your life. You still at a point in your argument. Everything in your life happens for a reason.
Okay. Well, like I said, I prefer to leave it at that, mainly out of respect for the family members. I think half of them would want to know what really happened, but because the other half would feel offended and insulted, I'd rather not go into all the nitty gritty details. But I think you've answered it.
That you're also various timelines, right?
Right.
Your entire history has numerous versions, yes?
So is there a timeline where the Twin Towers are still standing in 2018?
Certainly.
Okay, well, I think you've answered that sufficiently for now. So, okay, interesting. Thank you.
What we would like to share is your idea, why your idea comes up of wasting your time, correct? Because nothing in your life is important to you unless it has a certain relevance to you personally. Right?
Right.
So this could have well propelled you in a direction that was the most important for you. Just as a reference point. For what you perceive the current time at your own, what happened from your own ego perspective, what you would call something, was what you call considering an inside job. But again, it depends greatly what you consider inside and outside. This general concept of what we would perceive is the most important idea for you to consider. Not the details of whatever happened if you wish so, but whether you're obsessed with something is usually because it's adding some value to your life, even if you're thinking it's something different from what your ego might perceive, and it might not make sense until much later on down the road. What we want to share with you personally in this regard of what's the highest relevance.
Right, I see.